Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Liam Picks Fights. I am here today with another quick pick UFC breakdown for you. If you can't tell, I'm fired up. I'm excited. We've got UFC 259 this Saturday. It's going to be an insane card from top to bottom, absolutely stacked. I got a lot of thoughts. I got a lot of action. And as you guys know, every Friday I have a show that comes out, Liam Picks Fights. It's a full breakdown of my action on the card. But what I have for you today is a breakdown for the main event. I'm going to be talking about my thoughts on the crazy, exciting light heavyweight matchup between Jan Blachowicz, the legendary sole proprietor of Polish Power, and Israel, the last stylebender, Adesanya. What else can you say about the guy? He's taken the MMA world by storm. He's 20-0 as a professional mixed martial artist. He's a 2-1 favorite moving up to fight the light heavyweight champion at his own weight class. So what more can you say about this guy? What more can you say about this fight other than I'm excited, and I hope you are too. I'm going to break down my action, but first, if you're watching this video, guys, please subscribe to this channel, Liam Picks Fights. Please give this video a like and let somebody know about the show. I'm telling you, this show is growing. We've got big announcements coming later this week. Stay tuned for that. But guys, I'm going to get right into it, break down this action for you, and get you in and out on a quick pick. So, fun fact for you guys, before we get started here, last time these guys were fighting was UFC 253, September of last year, 2020. And I bet on both these gentlemen, okay? I had 1.8 units on Jan Blachowicz against Dominic Reyes at plus 225. Jan Blachowicz has perennially been an underdog in his UFC career. And guys, he's cashed as an underdog many times. So that's one reason to consider playing him this weekend, is that Jan Blachowicz has come through as an underdog many times. He has been considerably undervalued by the book many times. So I was able to take advantage last time out. I bet Jan Blachowicz 1.8 units. I was fairly confident that he was going to get the knockout in that fight against Dom Reyes, and that's exactly what materialized, guys. I thought that Dom Reyes was being overinflated in terms of the market value because of that close fight with John Jones, but I wasn't that impressed by some of his other fights in the UFC prior to his John Jones fight, including the fight against Volkan Ozdemir that I thought he should have lost. And so I believed going into that fight that Jan Blachowicz had an easy path to victory against Dom Reyes, which was that he was going to be able to out-kickbox him from the outside. John Jones doesn't really do a ton of damage, but Jan Blachowicz does, and he certainly can if you're going to be a stationary target, which I thought that Dom Reyes was for too much of that fight. And, you know, he was getting caught by some of the blitzes of Jan Blachowicz that other guys like Thiago Santos had been able to sort out as they were happening. And I think that overall, Jan Blachowicz has a great game. He's a very talented fighter, and so I was happy to bet on him as an underdog his last time out. But I bet on Israel Adesanya his last time out. Same night, later that night, in the main event, Israel Adesanya versus Paulo Costa. I had 2.5 units on Izzy at minus 176, and the reason being was because I felt like Izzy was better everywhere. I felt like he was going to outclass Paulo Costa on the feet. I felt like he had the more deliberate striking game. I felt like he had a more layered and creative striking game. I thought that he was going to be able to pick him apart from kicking range, and I think that's exactly what we saw. If you go back and watch that fight, Israel was styling on him, no pun intended, from the beginning, and a lot of the success that he was having in that fight was predicated on the leg kick. I think he had landed 20 leg kicks through the first 7 minutes, and I think that that was his answer to the Romero fight, where Romero presented him with very few options. He wasn't giving him an opportunity to counter. Romero, frankly, wasn't doing anything. He wasn't reacting to the feints of Israel at all and not giving him a lot of opportunities to work. So Israel, knowing that Paulo could try the same thing, and in fact did try the same thing in many respects, could stand in front of him and try and force Israel to fight aggressively as opposed to reactively. And Israel was able to do it in the Paulo Costa fight, where he just started picking him apart. If you guys saw the look of Paulo Costa's leg just a few minutes into that fight, you could tell that he was on one wheel. He had been really brutally picked apart by that calf kick through 5 minutes. Israel Adesanya is a guy who understands the calf kicking game. This isn't going to be his first rodeo. He has an extensive professional fighting background. I think that people that just watch MMA, hear 20-0 and he's going against Jan Blachowicz, who has 35 pro fights, and they might think to themselves, man, Israel's significantly less experienced. that's fair in mixed martial arts because Jan Blachowicz has been fighting in mixed martial arts since 2007. But I also think that overall, the more experienced combat athlete here might be Israel Adesanya, certainly in terms of the number of professional bouts he's had. He's had 80 fights in kickboxing as a professional. He had several fights in boxing as a professional. And he's had 20 plus knockouts in the kickboxing realm before he ever came to MMA. He actually has significantly more knockouts than Jan Blachowicz does as well in his mixed martial arts career. I believe Jan has 9 and Israel has 15. So the Polish power is a factor in this fight, but I don't think that it's exactly what it's hyped up to be. I actually think that the more live KO is the Israel Adesanya KO, and lines makers have reflected that as well. Israel by KO is plus 125, Jan by KO or TKO is plus 400. Now, if you want to back Jan Blachowicz in this fight, I think that that's the line to do it, is the plus 400 line on Jan by KO or TKO. I think that that's his path to victory. I think if you're willing to sacrifice, a little bit of the line value there, you might take Jan Blachowicz inside the distance at plus 300. But I think that if this fight goes to decision, it's very unlikely that Jan Blachowicz is going to be able to win a decision here. I think that Israel is going to be able to pick him apart at range. I think that Israel is so much faster, so much longer. I think that he's going to have a distinct mobility advantage. He's going to be able to move around Jan, create angles, make him miss, frustrate him. And I think that Jan's going to be guessing a lot of this fight, guys. He is a counterpuncher who's going against a much faster and layered striker. And what I mean by that is Israel's not just going to throw out strike after strike after strike and give Jan an opportunity to counter. He's going to present him with several fakes, deceptive tools. He's not just going to come in naked with aggression. I think that Jan Blachowicz throws naked leg kicks sometimes. He doesn't really set him up. He just throws a powerful kick. I think that Israel could counter something like that. I think that Jan Blachowicz throws blitzing, marching combinations that at times put him chin over ankles in a really bad position to be uppercutted or to be hit with a knee. And Israel talked about in some of the interviews leading up to this that we haven't seen all of the ways that he's knocked people out in kickboxing or in his other combat sports as we've seen in mixed martial arts. I do think that Israel by knee is live in this contest as well, especially if we see Jan Blachowicz try to wrestle. Another reason that I'm favoring Israel in this contest, to be clear, is that Israel has the better cardio, in my opinion. I think Jan Blachowicz has improved cardio since he started in the UFC. He started 2-4 in the UFC, guys. This is a guy who started 2-4 in the UFC, and he's going against a guy who's never lost a professional mixed martial arts bout. And I think that that's important to consider. I credit Jan Blachowicz. I think that he's incredible for achieving what he's achieved, especially at his age. But guys, again, he's 38 years old coming into this fight against Israel Adesanya, who's 31. I've told you guys on this channel before, I believe that's the peak age for combat. I think that between 29 and 33 is where your mind and your skills and your abilities and your physical gifts and tools come together to form your best potential, your prime. And I think that Israel Adesanya is in his prime. I think he's one of the greatest fighters I've ever seen do mixed martial arts. I think his defensive footwork is unbelievable. I think that if Jan tries to chase him down on one of his blitzes, he'll be exiting on an angle. If Jan follows him, he'll cut out to the opposite angle. I think that Jan's best chance in this fight by KO and TKO is benefited by the fact that it's in a 25-foot cage. So take that for what it's worth. It is at the UFC Apex. It's going to be a smaller cage. I think Adesanya's game operates a little bit better in a larger cage, but I do think that Israel Adesanya is a smart guy. I think that he has some of the best coaching in the game. City Kickboxing is an insanely talented gym with very high-level coaching. I think that their striking is ahead of the game in the mixed martial arts world. I think that their use of feints and feints is essential, and I think that it's going to leave Jan confused. Now, I also think that Jan has an incredible power that he's developed more recently. He's finished 3 of his last 4 fights by KO, TKO. So I think that Jan by KO, TKO plus 400, I don't blame you if you take a stab on that, but I'm going the opposite way, guys. I'm playing the money line. I'm taking Israel Adesanya 4 units at minus 230, and I feel pretty confident about Israel in this spot, guys. I like guys who are younger. I like guys who are faster. I like guys that have more layered and complex and deceptive games. And I think that that's what Israel has in this spot. I think Israel is live to win this fight inside the distance, but I also think he's the more likely winner should this fight see the judges' scorecards. And for that reason, I'm not going to play any props, and I'm not going to take a total on this fight. I find the actual action itself a little hard to anticipate, but I do believe that at kicking range, this fight favors Israel Adesanya. I think that in close, in boxing range, this fight will largely favor Adesanya, though Blachowicz is powerful and could crack him with a counter. I think that Israel Adesanya should be the better and more complete fighter in this spot, and so I'm going to back him 4 units on the money line at minus 230, and that's my action for the main event, guys. So I hope you've enjoyed this UFC quick pick. If you guys are fading my action, let me know in the comment section below. If you're following my action, hey, let me know that too. I hope that you do. I hope that either way you come out of this video feeling a little bit more informed. I'm going to do an even deeper dive on this fight and more on my Friday show. So everybody stay tuned for another great episode of Liam Picks Fights coming at you soon. Thank you very much for your time. God bless and enjoy the fights.